All right. Finally live. Sorry, everybody. We took about an extra 13 minutes of your time. My apologies. But if you're out there watching and I see some of your comments down here, please let me know where you're watching from. Happy Friday. It is December 12th already. December 12th already. Happy Friday. I got a cool guest in studio. We're going to go to him here in just a second. But before we get there, it's probably a problem with the fiber optic cable, Bobby says. It always happens. It's always the cable inside joke. I don't get it. But okay, if you say so, Bobby, I don't get it. But where are all of you watching from? Let's see who's the furthest away from where I am here in Punta Cana. Would love to see that. Drop it down in the comments, and we're going to get rolling on this topic of drug trafficking. Fun topic for a Friday in December. Drug trafficking in the Dominican Republic. But I think it's a great story, great news, and all of that. So I'm going to wait for this to catch up a bit, and we'll go from there. There we go. Alexander is from New York. Good to see you. We got 50 of you watching so far. Who else? Who else is out there? Where are you watching from? What part of the world? Anybody? Fort Lauderdale, Florida, we got with Colin. Nobody's too far away so far. Alexander's a little further with New York. There's more of you out there watching. There we go. We're starting to get them. West Milford, New Jersey. Toronto. God, I hear it's like -20 in Toronto right now. Literally, it was like -27 or something crazy. We got
direct flights to Punta Cana
yes.
from Toronto. Come on down, guys.
Waco, Texas, Santo Domingo Norte, Cabarete, North Carolina, Philly, Queens, Easton, Pennsylvania. Where's this Pelham? Whoa, my feed just like blew up. Chile, Philly, Fort Bragg, Dallas, Vegas, Windsor, Ontario, the Bronx, British Columbia, another place that's really cool. Well, welcome, everybody. Welcome to the new live studio. I hope this looks cool as it feels to me. We're doing switching of cameras. We got a whole crew back there. I hope to level this up next Friday. Let me know what you guys think of the view, think of the whole idea, think of the whole concept. And we're going to dive into this week's topic because I know I've already held you guys up a little bit before we get to our guest. So welcome to the Gruber Nation Friday live YouTube meeting, YouTube call, whatever you want to call this thing. I had the topic up today of this article from the Miami Herald, from drug traffic hub to interdiction leader, the Dominican Republic's turnaround. I had to look up interdiction, as I told you, and apparently it is it stops there. So rather than extraditing, is that the opposite?
Right.
Extraditing to the next place, it's interdicted. It's interdicted. It's a strange word. It's a strange word for an article, you think as
put in the title usually. It's a little, if you had to look it up in the dictionary, probably not.
Yeah, not the best. But here's the deal. This article, and we'll touch on it a little bit here. I'm scrolling down on it a bit. This article is talking about some really interesting developments in drug trafficking in the Dominican Republic. One of the things that I saw that really popped out was that from 2004 to 2020, officially, it was like 70 tons of, I don't know if it's cocaine or drugs in general that were seized from 2004 to 2020. That's like 17 years. From 2020 to 2025, it's like 250 tons. You've heard this. Yeah. So a lot of cocaine, a lot of drugs have been seized and not passed through to the United States. A lot of this article is praising the Abinader administration for their focus on anti-corruption, for their focus on anti-narcotics. And it's really just saying the State Department, a 180-degree turn right here. You can see it. A 180-degree turn. A former U.S. State Department official told the Miami Herald it went from a relationship of mistrust to one of recognition. And it says Dominican and American officials interviewed for the story described the change as a transformation, a nation historically defined by vulnerability, repositioning itself as a regional reference point for, again, interdiction. It sounds like you're not addicted to something. It's so bad that you're interdicted. Accountability and institutional strength, interdiction. And then it goes into a lot more. You guys can all read the article if you want to take a look at it. So yeah, the idea of this article, and here's my thoughts on it in general, and then I'm going to bring in my buddy here, and I'm going to explain who he is and what he's doing here. Here's my thoughts on it in general. There are those that are going to be, there are those that celebrate anything the Dominican Republic does. Yeah, it's the best place in the world. Here we go. Of course they're getting better at this, and of course they've come full circle. There are those that are going to be on the opposite end. It's yeah, you seized 5 times the drugs, but 20 times has come through. It's okay, there's all of that, right? All flavors. But my take on this is whoever's right, the most positive, the most negative, or anywhere on that spectrum. My take on this is if you've got the Miami Herald and therefore maybe some other publications out there in the United States saying, hey, look, we're going to go out there and say that the Dominican Republic, the headline again, going back to it, the Dominican Republic has turned around. Drug traffic hub to interdiction leader, the turnaround. Even if you don't know what interdiction means, that entire title says like it was drug trafficking, it's not now, and the word turnaround indicates that. In a world where like Venezuela has the whole drug focus and people can say it's oil, whatever it might be, all the focus on Venezuela, on the cartels in Mexico and the U.S. declaring them as terrorist organizations, all this stuff. When an article comes out to the U.S. population saying, hey, Dominican Republic is no longer a drug trafficking hub, it just implies safety. And when you go back to like level 2 travel advisories and all this stuff, but when it implies safety, that means more people come to the Dominican Republic to visit. Maybe some of those people end up buying property. Maybe expats start looking at DR as opposed to Mexico or Costa Rica or wherever, because this sort of article gives people at least the desire to dive in more and say, hey, I've got this Caribbean dream of moving abroad when I retire or raise my kids or whatever. What's this Dominican Republic place? Like, wow, not a drug trafficking hub equals safe. Maybe that's the place I want to go. So this to me is massive in that regard, just from a pure publicity standpoint. And I'll share this. Like, I remember years ago, just from a standpoint of what media does, Hurricane Katrina rolled through, right, in New Orleans. Hurricane Katrina hits New Orleans. And this was like 04, 05. And like 4 months later, I got tickets to go to the Sugar Bowl. It was Notre Dame, LSU. It was Tom Brady versus Jamarcus Russell. And I got drunk. So I got drunk at the game. This is a quick side story. I got drunk at the game in a very LSU positive crowd who were really high on Jamarcus Russell. And I remember being back toward the back of a section, trashed, and Jamarcus Russell made a bad play, and I started shouting out, he won't go any higher than 21 in the draft. This whole audience turned back and looked at me. Everybody's like, my buddy's like, he's drunk. He's drunk. It's okay. He's drunk. I'm like, 21.
Those are fighting words.
Yeah, I even started doing this to the crowd, like 21. Now, what's funny is he went number 1, but should he have?
Yeah.
So I think I was right. But anyway, New Orleans, when I got the tickets to the Sugar Bowl, it was like, what Sugar Bowl? What New Orleans, right? Like the news on New Orleans is like, it's gone. Like Katrina blew New Orleans away. Then you get there and you're like, oh, they focused on a really bad area in the 9th Ward where people got wiped out. And all the news coverage was calling that New Orleans and showing that it was focused on that. My point is like the media narrative determines how people feel about something. So if the media narrative says it was a drug trafficking hub and it no longer is, that positive press, whether we believe it, whether we like Abinader, whether we don't like him, whether the government's corrupt or it's not corrupt or whatever, the simple fact that it's there is huge to me. So that's my general take on it. I want to see what some of you guys think. Let's see. Somebody says, all a lie. It's through Haiti. The government, like all of them before, are controlled by the cartels. Maybe MDD, very cynical view, but you can have that. What do some of you others think out there as I look at some of these other comments about where you're from? Norwalk, Connecticut, Georgia, Roseville Park. What are some other thoughts on this? And while you're thinking about that, I'm going to bring in our guest. So let me get this off the stage real quick and go to the more wide shot. All right, so this guy, if we can go to that wide shot, I don't know how we do this right now. We're new to this whole thing. This guy sitting on my left, you may or may not know his name. Got to get rid of this comment. His name is Jake Keel. Jake is the VP, where am I? I'm over here. He's the VP of Sustainability for Grupo Punta Cana. He's a good friend, and he agreed to be my first live guest on this live show here. We're going to talk about this and some other stuff. Any questions you have for him? This is the foremost authority in the country. I'll say it. He may or may not say it on sargasm, on waste management, on really anything sustainability, environmental, if you will, in country. I mean, he's very well plugged in. He's been doing it for 20 years. He's lived this life. So questions you have on any of that stuff, the future of sargasm, all that, he's on the cutting edge of it. But Jake, welcome, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Chop it up.
Yeah, chop. Ready to chop?
Yeah.
What do you think about this article?
I'll tell you, I think it has a lot to do with priority, right? I think drug trafficking has to be kind of a mutual agreement. In this case, United States, who's receiving a lot of this, Dominican Republic, sort of a stopover point or a passageway for the drugs to get north. So when the U.S. puts way more priority on stopping it in certain places, they make it uncomfortable for drug traffickers to send it on different routes and through different means. And so the DR might have been funneling for some time, and now they put more priority on stopping it there, and it works.
Interdicting.
So, interdicting.
They're interdicting.
I think a lot of it also has to do with the U.S. relation with the DR specifically. So the U.S. is saying we want to make this a priority. We're trying to get fentanyl, cocaine, everything, get the drug trafficking slowed down, get some of the power away from these cartels. We need your help to do it. DR wants to have good trade relations, good tourism relations, good public relations. So
do you think
for the DR to be on board with this?
Do you think like this thing being so like State Department heavy, like a lot of it's referencing like the State Department and everything. Do you think this has anything to do with Hegseth's visit? Like suddenly after that visit, this article comes out. Is this one of the trades that were made in exchange for, hey, we want to land a few planes, we'll talk you up?
Yeah, I think diplomacy, it's a lot of gray area. I don't know if it's necessarily like a quid pro quo where it said, we're going to give you this, you're going to take that.
No, right. Yeah.
But I think, that between the lines, it's, we want to have good relations. This is something that's really important to you. We're going to help you do it.
Yeah.
So I think, what's happening south of here with kind of a buildup around Venezuela, I think the U.S. sees that this is a good platform for it. Long relationship, very stable government here, democratic. So I think it makes sense for the U.S. to kind of rely on reliable partners.
Is Crystal watching, by the way?
I don't know. Maybe.
Because like I did the Grub with Gruber that's yet to be released. That and 5 others are being produced right now. And when I did a story on it, somebody said, "Wow, he's a good looking dude." Remember I told you that? I told you that.
I must have scrubbed that.
Payroll Matos just said, "Handsome guest."
Oh, well.
You're getting it, man. Maybe you've got like a cult following out there. So maybe hopefully your wife's not watching.
My head's not split open either. I don't have any like open wounds to be sharing.
Or like the tuft of hair that I finally got to shave last night. It was like one tuft this long sitting on top of my head.
Being not dismembered is very, very helpful for me.
I love that. Luis says, "Nice podcast studio. I appreciate that, guys. Hello from Rhode Island. Hello, everybody." Let's talk about what you're doing. So Sargassum, it's the season's over, thank God. Right? It's all
for the most part
floated back to sea. I mean, every year it's getting a little worse, right? That's anticipated that it increases each and every year. Here's my first question for you on Sargassum. Is the North Shore untouchable?
The North Shore of the Dominican Republic?
Yeah.
I'd put it this way. I mean, this year, a few months ago, we were up at University of South Florida, has the optical oceanography laboratory. So these guys have been tracking sargassum since it became an issue in 2011 and been tracking kind of tendencies. How much is it growing? And what they concluded from the last, 15 or so years, every 3 to 4 years, the total volume between West Africa and the Eastern Caribbean, it doubles. So the high mark was 2022. 2025 is now the new high mark. So is the North Coast safe? I would say really nowhere is safe if the tendency is that the total volume is going to double every 4 years. So in 4 years, we'll check back and see where we are. But I think, the more sargassum there is in the basin, the more likely it reaches new places. This
is my like elementary understanding of why I don't like what I think I learned, why like nowhere is safe, if you will.
Yeah.
Tell me if this is right. But like you've got this seed that gets out of the Sargassum Sea into like a different, like a current.
Yeah.
Then it hits the Caribbean, the warm water, and poof, it explodes, right? Like it's
a little bit before that, usually somewhere closer to like South America.
All right. Now you're being overly scientific, but you get the point. You get the point. It gets
an explosion.
There's an explosion. So it's the biggest you've ever seen. So you get an explosion, right, of sargassum. And all it takes is for that seed stock to just sort of leave where it is and get into a different current.
Yeah.
So right now it might be like, I don't know, like if this is the Dominican Republic and this is the current that the seed is in and it's blossoming and growing here, and this is the current that's up around the North Shore, it just takes some of this to fall out of like fly out of here into that bloom and go to the North Shore. Is that an overly simplistic?
Yeah, well, I think that's more or less what's happening. I think if you just zoomed farther out, right, if you have the Caribbean here, you have like the early years, 2011, you had a little bit of sargassum coming in. Now there's forming more. So it's more sargassum. As you have more and more volume entering the Caribbean basin, it's just reaching more places.
That makes sense.
And so it's, it has a lot to do with the local conditions of the current, the wave, whatever's happening locally. But the probability is that more places are going to be seeing it. Now, I couldn't predict that it's going to be on the North Coast, like Cabarete, are you safe? Puerto Plata. But I can say in 2011, Playa Rincon and some of the places on the North Coast in Samaná weren't seeing any sargassum. And now you're starting to see it more and more. Playa Rincon had like a much rougher year. So we're starting to see new places. That
yeah. Okay. What's the next 5 years look like for sargassum? Because I know you're like the little context with Grupo Punta Cana. You have invested in. Well, how about that? What are some of the things that you've invested in for sargassum mitigation, sargassum control, and even like sargassum usage once you extract it? What are some of those things that you're doing right now?
Yeah. So the early conclusion. I mean, just even to go back a little bit, 2011. Like this was not normal at all. Like, there was no sargassum when I got here in 2005. So 2011, just one summer, it started showing up. And we're all like, "The hell is this?" Look at it's a seaweed, but it lasted like a month or two. So it was kind of
that was weird.
Nothing.
That was weird, guys. Right?
Well,
go get a beer.
And then 2 years later, it was like more of it came, and it lasted a little longer. By 2015, we're really seeing a lot.
Yeah,
it was lasting longer. And so the strategy that we've deployed over the years has just been like an evolution. As the problem has gotten bigger, we've had to invest more and come up with new ideas. So where we really started was with barriers, essentially keep it from hitting the beach. The sargassum hits the beach, starts to decompose, and that's where all the problems start. Starts to smell, starts to suck up the oxygen in the water, kill fish, changes the color of the water. If I'm on vacation from, Rhode Island or New York,
Toronto,
very cold places, coming to Punta Cana, I want to get in the ocean. I'm not super psyched if it's covered in seaweed. Like you got to kind of wade past that. So our idea was keep it offshore. In our specific conditions, the current kind of washes it away. Like it'll keep going north to south. And so then if it doesn't get into the shore, more or less we can manage it. As there's been more volume now, even if we keep 80% of it off the beaches with barriers, then now we have new ways we have to handle it, what gets past the barriers. So we've got new collection systems. We've tried out barges. We've tried out small ships that collect it. We've had, now we have like these pump systems that are pumping it out.
Yeah, you show me. They're pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think the industry that's kind of sargassum solution space has grown a lot.
Well, what's that side of it? Yeah. Like what's the industry potential of it? Like what is it doing? Biofuel, fertilizer, like what is sargassum becoming?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the bigger industry, there's like manufacture, installation, and maintenance of barriers. That's just one whole division. Collection systems, and there's a bunch of ways to do that. There's beach cleaning equipment, clean sargassum that does get to the coast, clean that off the beach. And then there's a whole kind of growing industry of you're saying is like turn it into something. Like what can you make sargassum into so that you're not just putting it into a landfill or just dumping it somewhere. And that's taken off. There's kind of a bunch of lines of thinking. We generally think Grupo Punta Cana is as many products as you can pull out of each piece of sargassum, the higher likelihood of having margins that it'll allow you to at least subsidize your cost of managing it, or hopefully eventually create like a value added industry.
All right. There's some questions on this I'm going to come to right here, but I want to ask this. So in 5 years, with what you're seeing and understanding how much more there is, blooming every year or whatever it might be, better, worse than today? What do you see in the next 5 years, let's say?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cyclical. So there'll be good years, bad years. As you were saying before, you have the seed stock of sargassum now. It's kind of established in the Eastern Caribbean, like from even like West Africa. And so the plant is the algae is finding food. So it's finding sunlight and it's finding nutrients, and it's finding warm water. So there's not really any limit at the moment for how much it could proliferate, because it's not like there's something eating it. There's not like a whale that comes and just eats up all the sargassum, so you attract more whales and that reduces sargassum.
I had to look up interdiction. Now I have to look up proliferate. Is it healthy for humans or is it unhealthy for humans?
I mean, if to like consume it, like would you
I just
sargassum?
Hilda wants to know if it's healthy. Okay. Give Hilda her answer.
That you can. We have a company we work with that's turning it into cosmetics. Inputs for cosmetics, so that can be healthy.
Yeah,
some cosmetics good for your skin.
Got it. Is the growth in any way related to runoff of fertilizer from developed countries like the U.S. or Brazil, or is that just a myth? I learned that this is a myth. Did you read that article about like how it's the origin of it?
Yeah.
Let me share it in my way, and then you You give the sciencey answer. But this is what I learned.
I'll try not to be too science.
Well, but like more science, like correct me, like correct the record. But here's what I learned about this on sargassum. This was like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, an article came out.
Yeah.
And essentially what it said was there are, what is it that are resting in the, like the change in the environment has created more winds and like a difference in temperature between the North Atlantic and South Atlantic waters, which churned up, is it phosphates from the bottom of the ocean?
Nutrients
From the bottom of the ocean. So these are like laying dormant forever in the bottom of the ocean. They get churned up with all the winds and everything like that. And that comes
upwelling, they say. Like,
upwelling. Scientific. So they get upwelled, as I was saying. And the nutrients in the sand that are now upwelled naturally interact. When they interact with the sargassum, with the seaweed itself, the seaweed interacts with it and blooms it, right? Like essentially it's like, it's not an external thing. Like, I mean, look, we don't want like crap running out of, like we don't want sewage dumping into the ocean. We don't want nitrates being dumped in the ocean or anything like that. I mean, that's not a good thing. But like from what I read, like that has nothing to do with why sargassum is blooming. It's not. It might be like on the shore. If you have less of it, it might be okay to like mitigate a little bit of what comes to the shore, like not having the runoff. But it's literally like these nutrients coming up from the ocean floor, mixing with what was already there, and that those two just have a natural interaction to bloom sargassum.
Yeah, this is what's so cool about science, right? Is you basically have kind of a mild ongoing argument of two camps that think there's some combination or two different things that could have happened.
Okay.
And it's not totally decided. And what makes it interesting is it happened sometime, we believe 2009, 2010. So it's not really any way for us to know what exactly happened. So the theories are, one, that you have the Sargassum Sea, which is a little bit farther north, like more in the Atlantic, like closer to like Bermuda in that area. And it's more or less because the currents contained in that area. At some point, 2009, 2010, there's a belief that some of it was pushed out of that normal range, farther south, and just found perfect, ideal blooming conditions. Food, sunlight, warm water. So in the summer, you get these explosive blooms. And that theory essentially is that upwelling, that oscillation is what's feeding the nutrients from the ocean bottom and bringing them up to the surface, and the algae's finding it and growing like crazy. There is another belief system that somehow that seed bank that got farther south started earlier, and then it was seeded, and then the currents were pushing it, and there's sort of like a belt that's happening, and they call it the Great Atlantic Sargassum Belt. Basically, from West Africa, it's pushing the sargassum all the way into the Caribbean and the Atlantic. There is a belief that where it's really fattening up and blooming is south of, like near South America, where Orinoco and where the Amazon River is output. So as those outflows are just loaded with sediments from deforestation, agriculture, farm production, all that stuff, and it's just ending up in the ocean, and then the sargassum's finding it there. So it's to be determined still where exactly it's occurring. There's two different scientific camps, and we know both of them, like kind of Brian Barnes camp, and then the Xiaomin Hu camp from University of South Florida. Those are kind of two different scientific groups, and they're not like, in a battle, but essentially they're, kind of arguing over the details of how exactly this came about.
B-Boy15 is asking, have there been any conversations across like the greater Caribbean community? Seems like a good opportunity to collaborate. So like it's Jamaica and DR and all, is there a lot of, what's the word? You used another word I had to look up, oscillate. So I have oscillate, proliferation, and interdiction. Is there a word you want to use here for what you and other
collaboration? I don't know. You got that one in your vocab?
More than two syllables is hard for me. I got double Jamie Gruber, right? There's 2 and 2. I'm good.
That's
live on air, one each.
Jake Keel. I keep it simple.
Is it like Jacob though?
Yeah.
So you got 2 there. Anyway, so now what are you doing with other?
There's lots of conversations that happen between countries. We've hosted dozens of visits from different islands. Because we're private sector, we basically are financing this thing ourselves. This is a survival tactic. We believe that by protecting the beach, other people will learn from the experience. And so we've opened the doors to have other countries, other companies, other competitors even come in and find out what we're doing. So we've had Jamaica has been here. A lot of the French islands have been here. We've been presented at conferences. We've been to Mexico. Mexico's been here. There's actually a group from Mexico here right now. So you have to share knowledge. You got to figure out what's working, what's not.
Is there any evidence right now? Because it feels like tourism keeps going up and up and up. But then you got this sargassum thing. And when people come in the summer, they're like, what the hell? Like, I came down here and this is happening, whatever. Is there any evidence? Because it's not the first year, but of like a revisit decline? Does that make sense? Like people that come once but won't come again. Like, are we getting more people that are coming for the first time than ever before? Do we know?
Yeah. I don't know that we have good data on it. I mean, you definitely hear stories from hotel managers that in certain seasons, like they're getting, they're having to move people to different hotels where they have less sargassum or whatever. I think a lot of it comes down to management. I mean, we work hard at managing it. We work hard at keeping the beaches clean. So people come to our property, even when there's a lot of sargassum.
Yep.
And I think also the information now is so hyper specific. Like you can find out if the hotel I'm going to on the moment has sargassum or not by who's been there and left a review, who's like talking about it online. If Jamie Gruber went and he posted about it, like you can find information about very specific places pretty quickly.
P-Beck says it tastes like potato chips with fish. Have you ever eaten any sargassum?
No, not directly. Yeah,
what, you've eaten it like made into something?
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah, like I've seen people make it into like salts and powders and stuff.
Oh.
You can, one of the products, like the same company that's making it into cosmetics, they basically take sargassum and just put it through a intensive chemical process and pull out all the mineral ingredients and different types of materials that are in the sargassum. And then they use that for all kinds of products as fillers for dyes in cosmetics. And they even have one that they use as sort of a substitute for gum. So you can actually use like a gummy could have sargassum components.
Would you eat it directly ever?
I have eaten it. Yeah.
You have eaten it?
Yeah, I've tried it.
Why?
Because it's a product. I mean, it's certified.
No. Sargassum. Like just pull it out of the sea fresh, and just.
There are other algae I don't have a problem with eating.
Like what?
There's one that's called uvia, I think it's called. And people actually grow it, and it's in all kinds of cuisine and stuff.
Uvia?
Ulva, that's what it's called.
Spell that.
Ulva, I believe. Ulva.
You sure? That feels like a female body part for some reason. No. Okay.
It might be part of the reason why.
The FBI was about to break down the door. Let's take a look at it real quick. Is this this
like
stuff?
A very light green filamentous.
I don't know if you can see. You can't see it over there, but you can see it on my laptop here, like that stuff.
Yeah, that's it. You'll see that growing in places. And I mean, if you don't think it's rolling like right off of like an agricultural farm or something, or like a water treatment plant, it can be safe to eat.
You're eating
Yeah, people dry it. It's actually like a whole market for it. If you go to Amazon and look for different seaweeds, there's tons of seaweeds that they sell.
See, like this is where our friendship like stops. Like there's a line. That line is like you're doing like a 50K run.
Yeah.
Right. And then he and a few of our other friends climbed Pico Duarte, but that's fine. I would do Pico Duarte. I would not do Pico Duarte, but they had to do like a 4-day. We're going to go over the other side. We're going to sleep with a boar. We're going to,
eat algae the whole way.
They brought a fryer basket for algae. Mm-hmm. So they're just in this like insane, ridiculous eco adventure. And that's just where you lose me. You lose me. Now, somebody just said that they found some YouTube videos with your work. Anything I need to know about what's on YouTube for you?
I hope that nothing too racy. I think it's all pretty family friendly.
Yeah,
there's actually some funny videos about sargassum. I mean, we were making the case of needing kind of a coordinated government level intervention to help, if the government's not going to fund it or not going to help solve problems, at least like make sure they're out of the way.
Yeah.
Right? And if there's some things that could be regulated better, like the way we clean our beaches, if you have the machine going with a tractor going up and down the beach every day, multiple times, it'd be a really good idea to have some rules about how to do that.
Sure.
So you're not just tearing up the beaches.
I wondered if you had like some old Blippi videos. Do you ever see Blippi?
Yeah.
Do you ever see like the scandal with Blippi?
No.
His first video ever on YouTube, like before he was Blippi?
No.
Anybody familiar with this? Anybody that's familiar with Blippi, let me know if you're aware of his first ever YouTube video, and I'll share.
Yeah,
I'll share for you.
That I know of. I don't think I have.
So it was something called like the steamer. So essentially, the whole stunt he did was e-jesting.
The steamer is not a good
Yes.
start.
On
That's the title of the video. We're in trouble.
On somebody. It was like a joke video, like a jackass kind of thing he was doing before he got big on Blippi, where he let it go, like on somebody, and it was on YouTube.
Can't think of anything that kind of terrible we've done, but
nothing close.
I don't think so.
Making sure this guy found you on YouTube, Bobby. Oh, it's Bobby Murray. He found you on YouTube. So
all right. Well, we do have some. I got a couple videos up there.
Just saying. A couple more on this that we can pivot. Have you guys turned into biofuels? Can a company be set up to insert it into the energy grid? Now, I went to this thing. You had a whole bunch of Germans. I want to do the accent, right? Like, make this into the fuel. But then
they're going to take my funding away.
I know.
They're not funding our programs.
That was me, Germans, not him. A nine for Jake.
I love you guys. Don't take the money away. We love you guys.
So have you turned into biofuels? Can a company be set up to insert it into the energy grid?
Yeah, there's a project in Barbados where they're turning it into gas for cars. It's like an ethanol, I guess. And so they have a whole process, and it's combined with they combine the ethanol with like the byproduct from rum. So they have a whole product. They turn it into fuel. We've looked a lot at biogas, which is basically like you put all of the sargassum and other organic material in like a closed chamber without oxygen. And then these microorganisms break it down, and then the gas that comes out, you can use that for all different purposes.
How much energy would that? What is that? Is that like?
Well, I mean, Germany. The reason why they're interested. I mean, this is what a lot of Germany's run on, like power plants and gas plants, is run on biogas. So they take agricultural waste, they take animal feedlot waste, they take food waste, they take all these organic materials, turn it into fuel. So it's totally possible. Sargassum doesn't have the best characteristics to do that, and it's complicated and expensive, but it could be.
Isn't that what do you call that when you contain biogas, like with your wife, like under the blanket? They call that something. Like you let it go and then you trap her under the blanket.
Yeah,
that's a thing.
That is a thing.
You know what I'm talking about? There's a name for it.
Yeah.
When you said that, that's all I could think of because I'm immature.
Hotboxing? Is that what it's called?
Is that hotboxing?
I'm not sure. Somebody
has to know. What is it when you like? Yeah, I'll find out. We're gonna pivot back to the Dutch oven. Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you, March 416.
Get down like that.
Dutch oven. The Germans are like, "Nein, no Dutch oven." I don't know if that's Russian or German. What I just did, I have no idea. I just know it's a really hard language. Back on the trafficking thing, real quick, that we were talking about. Albert says this is best not to anger Washington. Therefore, Luis Abinader is wise about drug issues. We hope he maintains fighting drug trafficking to reduce crime and boost travel and investment. I guess I'm just like, so you've been here a long time.
Yeah.
20 years ago to now, like we could read all the articles, we could see all the things. Does it feel different in any way? Like some of this stuff, like anti-corruption, anti-drug, like just day-to-day living here as a guy who's been here through many different administrations, through many different seasons or whatever. Obviously the growth, but what feels different? Or does it feel different? Do you feel this sort of like anti-drug posture if you go back to 2005, 2008, 2009? Yeah. Does that make sense?
I mean, in so many ways, in the last 20 years, the Dominican Republic has just completely transformed into a different place.
Yeah.
I remember the year, and this was during the Leonel Fernandez presidency, when we worked with some of these big organizations that do like community work, like these nonprofits that come down and they're helping the different communities and things like that. And they used to get a lot of funding from the US government. I don't want to get too controversial here, but they get a lot of money from US aid. There was literally a year when we were here. I think it must have been like, I don't know, somebody correct me when the Leonel Fernandez presidency ended, but sometime while I was living here, when the DR passed from being kind of a developed country to being a mid-income country. And so that literally meant that the DR was a wealthier country. And now the DR is an upper mid-income country. So unlike the degrees of how the economy is doing, like objectively, according to international standards, it's upper mid-income, which means it's no longer a poor country. So
right.
Like the things that have happened since then and the relationship with the United States is totally different. Now you're headed towards more of a relationship where we're like a Singapore, where we're getting trade started, we're exporting, we have tourism, we have kind of a more, obviously the US is just way bigger and the, economic power of the US, but it's no longer sort of such a gap between the poverty of the DR and the wealth of the US.
Yeah.
The DR has come up a lot.
What would the next level be? So you said lower, what was it? Lower middle income. Now it's upper middle income.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah. I forget what it is, but there is a term for it. There's like a whole,
what's the US? What is that called?
I think just developed, upper, whatever. I don't know what the economic.
Do you know like how many tiers, if you will, away from developed that scale is, or no?
I don't know off the top of my head. No.
I have to figure that out.
But I know, yeah, it's worth looking into, because, for example, we still do grant applications through the Punta Cana Foundation, and they will have certain grants. You have to be a lower mid-income or lower country in order to apply, even to be eligible. So, like, basically, what they're saying is you're too rich to really need these resources.
That's interesting.
Yeah. That happens now, and in fact, a lot of the NGOs in the DR were sort of pissed because they're like, you just took us out of the ranking of being able to receive these resources, but for a good reason, like the economy's better. People are getting out of poverty.
Somebody mentioned about, Abinader negotiating the removal of the 10% tariff in exchange for the cooperation. Like I said, I think this article in some way is likely part of the sort of, goodwill return to DR. Like, hey, let's get the State Department out there saying some nice things, get some stuff out in the news and all of that. But this isn't your wheelhouse, but I'm just curious as a guy living here. Like, I hope so too. That would be great if like DR could become the country without any reciprocal tariff. But I don't know. I don't get that sense that that's a real negotiating chip right now. Do you have any sense of that?
I mean, I think what do you want if you're a company that's going to work on trade, export, import, whatever? You want stability, right? So 10% is still on the low end for most countries. There are other countries that have been put much higher tariff. The DR, I think 10 is about the minimum.
10 is the minimum. That's the minimum reciprocal tariff across the world.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the new baseline.
Yep.
So as long as it's not going up and down regularly, which is what's been really messing with a bunch of countries.
A lot of countries, right? Yeah.
If you're trying to set trade, like, you'd much rather have stability, even if it's a little more expensive than it was before, but it's still not the worst. And you're still probably better off than competitors.
There's a question about World Economic Forum. Did I miss something? World Economic Forum. Ask, it says. I don't know what that. Let me see if I can find the comment on this. World Economic Forum.
That could be like where the classifications come from.
Oh, maybe. Oh, here it is. Does Jake and Grupo Punta Cana work alongside with the World Economic Forum?
No, I mean, not we. I mean, we're pretty tourism specific at the moment. So, for example, we're very involved with tourism.
You say we, Grupo Punta Cana.
Grupo Punta Cana. Yeah. So, Mr. Ranieri was on the board of the World Tourism Travel Council, which is sort of like one of the premier tourism associations worldwide. We were like one of the, have held the presidency multiple times of the Caribbean Hotel and Travel Association. In fact, helped set up the Caribbean Alliance for Sustainable Tourism, which is like another sort of subdivision of that. Very involved with like local tourism, but these kind of global trade organizations, the World Economic Forum, things like that, it's not really in our wheelhouse at the moment.
Got it. Seeing if there's anything else here. Please check the mic volume levels. Jamie seems much louder on the feed. Oh, that's probably because it's close. Yeah, get it closer to you.
All right.
Yeah, Luis took care of it. Thank you, Luis. I appreciate that. He's on it. We've got this. The DR can reach advanced high-income status within 20 years if they decrease corruption and increase the economy. What do you say about that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, corruption is like a drag on the economy for sure. And the more you have, the less of a safe investing environment is, the less people want to move here. Like, there's
for sure
all kinds of things that impact economically from having corruption, and it's.
But 20 years, is that enough time? Too much time? Do you think? What is your
to eliminate corruption, or just control it, or
to reach high income status as a country?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, not great at making prognostications like that. I mean, I've been here for 20 years. I could tell you it's been going pretty well so far, and they have certainly not eliminated corruption in the Dominican Republic. So there doesn't seem to have stopped it from its trajectory. But I think maybe it might have moved faster or gone farther if there hadn't been that sort of drag on it.
On the other side of it, we have another Raphael saying, just so you know, the DR pretty soon will become a nation of few $trillion. You will hear it very soon. See, Raphael knows how to prognosticate.
Yeah.
And I know
throwing it out there.
Prognosticate. That's 4 syllables. That's a 4-syllable word that I've got down. I love it. Ask the guest to speak louder. I think we fixed it. Hopefully, guys,
all right.
we fixed the audio output on this, because I think we got it taken care of. What was the other thing I saw back here that somebody said? Oh, here it is. Franklin, back to sarcasm real quick. Can it be controlled? And how can this impact the investment in the area going forward? So can it be controlled?
Yeah. I mean, I think we can manage it.
What does managed versus controlled mean to you?
I mean, I guess control would mean that we determine where it goes, when, and how. That's how I would think of it. And then managing it is basically, as it arrives, we're able to minimize the impact it can have on the areas. It's going to be
in the ocean. So what's the idea? Like, we have such great barriers that, like 80% of it is obstructed.
Yeah.
And then there's such great extraction at the point of the barrier or near the barrier that another,
or even from the beach or wherever,
that 80 to 90% more of that remaining 20% is extracted.
Yeah.
And you don't have to deal with as much of it it becomes more of a, it's not the best. It's a little bit of a nuisance, but it's not like this swell, this overwhelming, like thick, smelly thing
like ideally, like if you're a guest coming to the Dominican Republic and Punta Cana for the first time, like we meet your expectation of what you were hoping to see when you got to the ocean. That it's not a nuisance, it's not a problem. And I have some videos, like people would be like just shocked at the beach is clean and the quantities of sargassum behind the barriers. And because it's not on the beach, because it's farther offshore and you're not seeing it, because you're not really being impacted by it, you just think, oh, well, there's just not that much sargassum. That doesn't necessarily mean that
drones see it.
Yeah, drones would see it. If you get out there in a boat and you're driving next to the barriers, you see it piled up and you say, wow, I'm pretty happy that this is not on the beach.
Interesting. Somebody asked to see if you ask him about a film called Death by 1,000 Cuts.
Yeah, that was me.
That was your film?
So we made a documentary and put it out in 2016. Yeah,
I saw part of it, but I don't remember the name. You sent it to me like a year ago.
Death by 1,000 Cuts.
Oh, what was the documentary? Let's tell about the documentary.
So we basically documented illegal trafficking of wood charcoal into Haiti from the Dominican Republic and like all the human consequences of that.
Did you get
basically
Emmy nomination or something like that for that?
No, we won a bunch of festivals. Seattle International Film Festival, Doc NYC. We won a bunch of awards for it.
Renaissance man.
Yeah.
Renaissance man.
But it was basically the same environmental beat, just a different medium.
So this question from Norbert is, what about DR becoming a real strategic hub, especially with the latest investments in Cibao, the North region? That's got to be a Santiago person. Santiago people, they love them some Santiago, man.
We love Santiago.
I do too. It's great. But Santiago people are like, did you know that the earth began in Santiago? And the next level of evolution will be exclusively in Santiago.
You're gonna have like a line of Germans and Santiagueros outside of the studio waiting for you after the show.
It's funny. I went up to Santiago with Eric and did a whole like thing on it. And we collected, it's like 30, 40 hours worth of content. And everybody from Santiago was like, where's the video? Where's the video? I'm like, guys, I got to get that to 20 minutes, right? Like, you got to give me a minute as we work through condensing all of this into something. So it'll be out soon, I promise.
Well, I mean, the same thing happened with Death by 1,000 Cuts. We started filming in 2012.
Yeah. We
finished the film and it was released in 2016. So we had a lot of people that we'd known for close to 5 years, that we'd been hanging out with, that we'd been filming, that we've been interviewing, that we've been following around. And they were like, when the hell are we ever going to see this movie?
That never happened. Luis, Luis, is there a charger I can grab for this thing?
What?
A charger for this laptop? Is there an extra one laying around? Or can I use the one for that laptop? Will it last?
No.
You need that one. If there's an extra one, I'll take it if you guys have it. So on this question, becoming a strategic hub, especially with the latest investments in the Cibao North region, I say yes. I think the logistics center here that was just built, that you invited me to, that, which was, thank you for that, invited me to the inauguration of it, is probably, maybe even more than Cibao, maybe. An indication of the kind of hub, because that's flight only logistics center, right? Like everything is going out by plane. So you're not talking about textiles or anything like, you're talking about semiconductor chips. You're talking about like higher level manufactured goods, right?
Well, for that for the free trade area, for us, it's mostly very specific things that don't compete with places like the CBAO. I mean, that they have different costs for labor and for their infrastructure. So it makes sense to manufacture certain things in certain parts of the country. And here it's much more about like air travel related technologies. Like there's a company moving in that's making the bags that come down when there's an emergency on an airplane, for example, like things like a little more specific like that, along those lines. And I think, our goal is not necessarily to make it either or, but rather and, so the Santiago manufacturing, if there is any advantage to some of the products that are going to leave Santiago for export to the United States, if there's advantage because of the airlift we have in Punta Cana, the number of flights going to different cities and countries, it makes sense. So there's lots of agricultural products where you have savings on time in terms of transit, where it makes refrigeration, as long as it meets the cold chain, brings your costs down by having it through a direct flight as opposed to having to ship it. So an example, like there's a lot of products coming through South America, fresh flowers, certain very specific products that are being grown in other countries, brought to a diaspora market in the United States. It can be brought here on a boat, but then if you had to send it to Miami and then distribute it, you lose another week. Whereas if you bring it here, get it off the boat and distribute it on all of our planes, then you get it spread around much faster.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So yes, on the logistics hub, it sounds like, right? Yes. You can see DR really moving toward that. Is it at a are we at like a J curve point in your tenure in DR? Meaning like, there's always been progression, it's been progressing, but on this logistics side, beyond just textiles, are we in sort of like a major uptick moment?
Oh yeah. Yeah, certainly. Yeah. I don't think it existed anywhere near the scale it's at today, and the scale that we're projecting for the future is much higher.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very interesting.
There's a lot of advantages. The near shoring, the idea that we're not that far from the United States. So some of these things can come in, get worked out how they're going to move around, and then get shipped out from here. Lots of products that make sense to have a sort of a stopover point, things like that.
I love it. There's a question about nuclear, and then it says, ask if any conversation around nuclear power. And then somebody said, nuclear, really? So there's feelings about nuclear, obviously. Yeah. I know from my perspective, I hear nuclear is, maybe one of the more energy efficient ways, but you're a sustainability guy. So I'm going to defer to you, because I also know the other side of that is you have Chernobyl, thoughts of Chernobyl in your head. But I think today there's also a lot of technology that would prevent something that catastrophic that would happen. Yeah. Is there any nuclear conversation in DR?
Not that I know of. There is a nuclear commission. But
as an environmental guy, I mean, what would that look like? Could DR sustain, with hurricanes and everything? I don't know. Is that even a good idea?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought through the consequence of it. I mean, I think, in a theoretical point of view, environmentalists might have been a little fast to discard and vilify nuclear. Back when it happened, in the 60s, we were very concerned about nuclear and its relation to weapons and things like that. And so there was very fierce campaigns put out to stop nuclear in the United States. And so there's a real stigma related to nuclear still today. But from an environmental perspective, it is clean energy. But there's caveats to that.
And to be clear on this, you're like a full-on granola eating, like hemp suit wearing environmentalist.
Like compost at home for the last 20 years, right? Like that level.
Composts at home. He's a real environmentalist.
Oh, yeah.
How do you get rid of rats in your house? You want to tell that real quick? This is fascinating. Let's go wide on this one, Luis. Let's go to the wide shot for this, just so I can see his reaction. So when rats, mice, vermin are a thing in DR. It just is, no matter. He has a beautiful home in a great spot. However, when you told me how you get rid of these things, I'm never visiting your house again.
Oh, come on. Don't be scared. Don't be scared.
By the way, hey, real quick, for those watching live, we're about an hour in. If there are any questions you got two guys that have lived here for differing amounts of times, 20 years, 3 years, two guys with different, he works here locally. He's been in the business side, the environmental side. He's very informed. I make videos. So yeah, any questions you have, drop them down below, but you gotta tell the story. Tell the story.
Well, first of all, hopefully my wife's not watching, because she should be horrified. But essentially, controlling a rat situation at home is very complicated. They
Wait,
are
stay wide, Luis. Stay wide. Sorry.
they are
keep going.
incredibly smart creatures. They are adaptable. They learn. They're social. They reproduce really quickly. So you have all these challenges around rats. In our specific case, we discourage the use of poisons because most poisons that you get for rats, they don't die right away. They go wobbling around sick, dying for a certain period of time. In our case, we reintroduced an endangered hawk species to Punta Cana, and those hawks tend to prey on the easiest thing you can get a hold of. So the dumb, slow snake, the bird that's like injured, or a half dead rat that's stumbling around, that's pretty easy prey. And it was getting the bird sick. And so we really discourage using any kind of poison for rat control. So that's the backstory. That's my justification.
Too much backstory.
But there is a logic. Like most environmentalists, there is a reason. It's not just total craziness.
Oh my God. Okay, continue. This part disturbs me.
So there's only a few ways to get rid of rats in your house. One is having a cat, they're very inefficient. If you're feeding a cat, they're not going to go crazy trying to catch a rat. Putting in traps. But if you have more than one rat, then you're going to spend a lot of time trying to trap rats. Poison, which we already talked about. But really the most effective is a local species of snake, the Hispaniolan boa, which is endemic to the Dominican Republic.
Get a word I don't know.
Harmless.
Yes.
Endemic means they only found here.
I was fucking around, but yes, I got you.
So it's endemic. So you want to protect it. We want lots of these around. It's good for nature, good for the environment. And they're totally harmless. They're not poisonous. They can't hurt you. They won't bite you. They want nothing to do with people. And they are rat killers. Yeah. Like these things, rats are terrified of these things. The only thing that can get rats out of your house effectively, especially if they're in a roof where it's hard to get at, you got to get a boa.
To be clear, like thatched roof.
In my house, yes, we have thatched roofs.
Okay. Where do you put this thing?
Well, I mean, you gotta know your rats. You gotta study your rats a little bit. You gotta think about it. You gotta think like a rat. Like you gotta try and get your rat chip in. So I studied the rats, and we observed, and we found that they were coming through like a storage house we have in the back of the house. And so I just brought a little, dog carrier with a snake that the gardeners found for me, put it in the house, open the door, and close the door to the shed, and then let it go to work. And so it found whatever rats were around the casita, and then it migrated wherever they were running to, which happened to be up into the roof.
What about if they're in the roof? Do you ever put the snake in the roof?
Yeah, I've done that once. Yeah.
In your own roof?
Yeah. In the thatch.
Released a snake into the thatch.
Yeah.
And your kids and your wife are all in the house.
Yeah, what's the snake gonna do?
You look like this is so. Why are you appalled about me being appalled?
Yeah,
I'm curious.
I'm so confused.
I want to know what people think here. You look confused.
If I told you rubbing sargassum on your head would give you like a full head of hair,
no,
you wouldn't even try it.
No, dude. This is
what I'm telling you is that a Hispaniolan boa will solve your rat problem. Why would you not try that?
Because you're putting it in your house, and like,
right?
What if it falls out of the ceiling?
Has happened.
It's fallen out of the ceiling?
No. A boa this is long before I was married. My house was a little wilder then. Now I'm married. We don't have the same snake.
Different house.
Same house.
Oh, same house.
Boas, they're breeding. That's not eggs. They're live breeders. So when they have babies, it comes out live, just like, your wife. Like,
oh, no kidding.
They're not eggs. I found this out because one day the dogs are going crazy and I leave the kitchen and there was like a handful of baby bloody snakes that were being live born from the roof of the house. It dropped in the living room.
And did they die on impact, or the dogs kill them?
I think a few of them were like a little banged up. I don't know if they died, but they're placental. We collected them. There was like 10. We collected all these snakes and then threw them in the woods.
Wow. Are there a lot of boas here in Punta Cana?
You got to look around. I mean, if there's forest around, they're probably in there. There's amazing camouflage, so you're not going to see them. Like they don't like hanging around people all that much, like most animals. So they're pretty much in the forest or in the trees.
Oh my God. Phoenix here says no snake in the house. Sorry. I'm with Phoenix. No snake in the house. I'm wondering what somebody else would. I mean, the poison thing, it's sure. Like I've seen people use poison in like empty lots, and then you hear about like dogs and cats dying.
You don't want to kill somebody's dog.
Right. A friend of ours dog died. Sean, when for that, like the dog got into some rat poison. I mean, I'm good intention. I'm sure like, oh my God, there's rats in that empty lot. Let me throw some poison in there to get rid of them. And the dog eats it and then boom, gone.
Think of how much easier it would have been. Well, dog carrier with a snake, just bring it into the lot. You have no rats left.
I don't need a snake in my house. Best line of
but
the day.
they're in the lot? Not even in the lot?
I take the rats. The rats have legs. I trust things with legs.
Yeah. But the rats carry diseases. The snake's not going to carry any diseases either.
Best line of the day, think like a rat. I'm out of words for today. In the roof. That's insane. Insane. It's true that there are no venomous snakes here in the Caribbean or in DR?
In DR.
In DR.
As far as I know, in the Caribbean, I think you would have to go to like Trinidad and Tobago, which the wildlife is a little bit closer to like Venezuela, like kind of like Amazonian. So they have a few venomous snakes. I don't know. As you head deeper into the Caribbean, I don't think so.
Raphael said, remember, medical experiments are first used on rats. That's how close to human they are, as well as smart. So again, I'd much rather hang out with that than something that's going to slowly wrap around my neck and kill me.
Yeah, the odds of that happening are so low.
Unless it's in your roof. It's in your roof and in your house.
In the roof. I didn't say it was in my bed. Well, I didn't say it was like hanging out in my room.
But you said the babies fell. Did a full one ever fall?
This was in a part of the house where the thatch was like direct to the floor. So there's some places where we have open thatch. Some places where you have like a rat.
Yeah, his house is cool. I like his house. But did a big one ever come out into the house?
I've seen skins of big ones.
In your house.
Like in the roof.
No. I'm saying like, have they ever left the roof and like come into your house?
No.
So they're just like squirreling around in the roof.
They're looking for rats.
For how long?
What do you mean?
How long are they there?
I don't know.
Like they're having babies. Like how long is
they hang out until there's no more food. Then they move on. They go find somewhere better.
This is insane.
Well, I mean, the thing about having like an open house with thatched roof is basically your part of your home, an important part, not the part where you actually live inside, but up in the roof is kind of like habitat. It's like part of the forest in a way. So there's birds landing on there. There's all kinds of stuff. I've had an owl fly through my house one time, which is pretty wild.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is wild. I haven't had an owl. We've had birds. All right. We've talked about the article. We've talked about sarcasm and some other very interesting things. I do want to go into one more topic with you, but I'm going to take a moment to just let you know Jake will be speaking to the DR Inner Circle on Tuesday, just doing Q&A on these things, but in more depth. If anybody's interested in checking that out, just jamiegruber.com. We'd love to have you. We're almost 600 members so far, so growing. Got a really active WhatsApp chat community, so we'd love to have you guys in there. jamiegruber.com if you want to check it out. Can we talk about trash remediation?
Yeah.
Sunday, I'm going to call it a riveting video about trash reduction in Punta Cana is coming out with you and in it. So that'll be on this YouTube channel. But what is the potential of what you're doing here as far as trash remediation? Nobody wants to drive through Santo Domingo Este and see all the trash on the side of the highway or whatever. Right. Or if you're going through the woods, you see bottles discarded.
Yeah. Or in the ocean or on the beach
or the ocean, on the beach in a river. Right. What is the potential of trash becoming like look, I'll take this aside. You may remember this. In the 80s, I remember it wasn't abnormal for somebody to throw the McDonald's bag out the window in the United States.
Yeah.
Right. It was a normal thing. Anybody younger than like 40 probably doesn't remember, because I'm 47, you're 49, right?
48. Yeah.
48. Sorry.
No.
I remember there was a time probably within our first 6-7 years of life, like as we were like 7-8 years old, where trash like became not a thing, right? Like there was education, there was enforcement, there was all of this stuff. So I always frame that because it's like, yes, it's a problem here, but it can go away quickly with the right something, whether it's education or whatever it might be, enforcement. So what you're doing here is you're figuring out ways to remediate the amount of trash that needs to make it to the landfill, composting food waste, reducing food waste to begin with by using AI. You're going to see all of this on Sunday. It's really cool. And then recyclables. There's a big, robust recycling culture here in Punta Cana. And even if recyclables are in the garbage, it's getting pulled out. You and I did it. We stood on the line and pulled recyclables out, right? So like all of that's happening here, but it's not everywhere yet, right? So I don't know. What is the potential and what is the tipping point, do you think, of trash potentially not being a thing anymore in DR?
Well, I think you kind of spell it out. I mean, you said it, there's enforcement. So one, you don't want people just throwing it by the side of the road, throwing it in the rivers, dumping in the ocean, like, so putting it somewhere proper to start with. But you got to have that proper place wherever it is, whether it's a landfill, which is basically just putting it in a hole that's very protected and dumping it there. That's your kind of last option. Nobody really wants to live near a landfill. So if you live on an island, it's limited space. You want to have as few landfills as possible. But if you can turn it into other things, you have what's called circularity, or the circular economy. The idea is that you design these products and these materials with the idea of being able to reuse them infinitely, if you can. And then as we get to the point where these materials are designed for that moment, for that process, in the meantime, let's find other uses. And it might, they call it downcycling, because you basically are taking a material meant to be one thing, say aluminum can for a soda, and then you're turning it back into that again. In that case, there's a pretty good close to circularity. But with plastics, a lot of times when you transform it back into something, it's lesser value. It was not what it was meant to be. So that's why it ends up in fabrics for clothes, or in road materials or building materials as recycled material. It's not quite as high grade as it was originally. So until we get there, if we can recycle all these materials and you're getting it out of the waste stream, you're turning it into stuff, you're creating, new jobs, new economy, new businesses. And the same with, all the other materials that end up in the waste flow, like organic material, food waste, all that stuff. If you can turn it into something, I believe very strongly compost is the fastest, least expensive, and most productive way to transform organic food waste. But whatever you do with it, as long as it's not going to landfill and you're making it productive, then you're participating in the circular economy.
Well, and that circular economy, to me, like the ending of trash, if you will. Like, so, it's like, okay, that's great. The trash you have, you can do something with, but what about the trash that people are just throwing on the streets? Like, how do you get a population to not do that? We talked about education and enforcement, but I thought what was interesting, what we talked about was education in the US might have been like, hey, stop littering, it's bad. And if you don't, we're going to fine you. And then we do.
Right.
Education here might be, hey, see all that stuff on the side of the road?
It's worth something.
It's worth something.
Yeah.
So if you go get it and you bring it here, they'll pay you so that they can then, use that, package it up and sell it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Is that kind of to me, that feels like a major lever. Is that kind of the bet that's being taken?
Oh yeah. I mean, the whole idea is turning it into something and giving it a value. And a good example in the United States is aluminum, like going back to the aluminum can. It's generally, when we were growing up, it's worth 5 cents.
Yeah.
Because it actually is worth something. It can be turned into something. So you don't see aluminum cans in landfills, generally speaking. You don't see it in the trash. Somebody's pulling out because it's valuable. So we're doing the same now with plastic. Plastic has a value. So if you can separate it, keep it fairly clean, package it in its right coloring, and then you find a market for it, so it's valuable. So as the more materials begin to have a second life with a value, the less you'll see by the side of the road and in the rivers, because it'll be worth something. And then all the other materials that don't have any potential to be turned into something or made valuable again, get those off the market. There's plenty of products like that. There's a big push in the Dominican Republic to get rid of foam, because foam, it's an amazing material, but it's very difficult to recycle or make into anything useful again. So it becomes trash.
It becomes discarded. Yeah. That's interesting. So yeah, I going through the facility and everything that you're doing and all the technology around it was really fascinating for me to see, like, wow, okay, there's actually potentially an end in sight with this, if you will. I mean, there's always litter, but you get my point. It won't be like this problem that it was. Lori says, great advice. We have a farm and the rats are a huge problem. She's getting snakes. So there you go. You got her getting snakes.
We got one convert.
All right, I'm going to ask.
It's amazing.
I'm going to get this. I know you got to get out of here, but can you ask your guest?
Yes.
That's you. To share more about why he moved to DR. I think the listeners will be enlightened by his story. I'm assuming he's American. You look American.
Yes, I'm American.
Yeah.
But, it was, I think, maybe fate a little bit that brought me here. It was very funny, but when I was in high school, there was a study abroad program, and I chose to come to the Dominican Republic and study abroad. And lived with a family, not in Punta Cana, in San Cristobal. If you have listeners that are from that area, Madre Vieja Sur. So I literally lived with a family for like 3 months, and that's where I learned Spanish, and that's where I really got into the Dominican culture. This was like in 1994. And then just kept getting drawn back to the country for different reasons, whether it was doing my master's thesis down here. I did some photography projects here when I was real into that. Came and did an internship in Punta Cana, and then came back and started working here. And then even have made films here. So I've just done all kinds of other kind of side hustles, but really just the country kept drawing me back, and work-wise, the job I have now, it's amazing. I get to try and solve problems and have a positive impact on the environment, and somebody pays me to do that. So it's really cool.
What's the biggest challenge living here today for you? I mean, 20, 30 years ago, it might have been just like access to certain things. Oh, I have a doctor's appointment. I got to go to Santo Domingo, whatever. Like a lot of that's sort of cleaned up, if you will, or it's not as big a thing. But like living here 20 years, what's the most challenging thing for you today living in DR as like a long-term expat / immigrant?
Well, I mean, I think it's my soul, like my upbringing, like who I am, like I'm an American, like that's just like part of who I am. So living in a foreign country for this long, and people say, oh no, you're a Dominican now, or you speak Spanish with the Dominican accent, so you're basically Dominican. But sometimes you struggled out a little bit. I mean, just American identity, we're a different thing, and so it's just interesting to try and make that work here. I'm sure you go through it a lot with the issue with time, the issue with on-timeness, punctuality, the way things are done. A lot of my friends, we kind of joke, is like, Dominican, you give them a new device, like the instructions are the first thing they get thrown out. It's like they start putting the thing together and using it and fixing it their own way. And I'm like, but the instructions, they took all this time to write down exactly how it's supposed to be. Like, we need those.
Right.
So there's a lot of idiosyncracies about living in the DR. It's, you struggle with that, but I think it keeps it interesting.
You get bored at all?
Well, so we do live in paradise, as like we live near the beach, lived in this beautiful, kind of bubble in the whole Punta Cana area. So when we go away, we usually are going to like cities and like cold place. We're going like the opposite of where most people are going. So when we get bored, we try and get back to like cities and see like museums and culture and art and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the same. I did all my goals for 2026 yesterday. And one of them is I wanted to do it this year, but we bought the house. So it's like, not the right time. But I want to do like a Swiss chalet for Christmas, like up in the hills, cold for like 2 weeks. That's it. And come back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like to your point, it's like, let me go the opposite way here, not to the warm climate, but
absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense. Somebody said, can you ask you, what's your major? They find him very interesting. Very interesting.
So undergraduate, I actually studied Spanish literature and civilization. So I like read Don Quixote and read like, classical Spanish literature. It was basically to fine tune Spanish. I did study abroad in Spain and spent a bunch of time in Central America. And then after that, master's was environmental management. So I wanted to kind of understand, not so much how to do just pure science, but really like, how do you problem solve? To me, sustainability is basically like you have this very important goal of economic growth, this very important goal of environmental protection, the goal of giving people the opportunity to participate in the economy. And then in the sweet spot is sustainability. So it's like a whole problem solving ethos. And that's what's really kind of attracted me to working in tourism.
That's a growing industry, I would say, correct? Sustainability?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's a reality. I mean, it's no longer just like I'm going to get greened up and, from my public image, it's really a lot about like the management of a place or a business implies like your impact.
Well, your book, Awaken a Sleeping Giant, right?
Yeah.
So the book, it really focuses in on like, I think you said it before. It's like, look, at your core, like you love the environment, you're an environmental guy.
Yeah.
But then there's like the realist side of it. I think environmentalists could be like, nothing bad ever. It needs to just be perfect. And humans are ruining it. Like, let's clear out the population, whatever, right? I'm going a little far.
No. I mean, I have people that literally, like when they brush their dog, they save the dog hair and make like pillows out of it and stuff like that in order to not have to take it from somewhere else. I'm like, that's crazy. I can't.
Right. So it's like, yes, I'm an environmentalist at heart, but I understand the reality of the world. There's a corporate environment. There's all this stuff. So how do we make sure the local population, the environment, and the business can all thrive, essentially.
Balance.
Right? That's sustainability. Balance, right? Exactly. Let me see if there's anything else. I know you got to get going. I had a question to kind of get with you before you go. Shares 5 years vision for Punta Cana, Dominican Republic overall from an environmental standpoint. We got into that, Luis, a little bit. A little right-leaning and a nice thing. A Renaissance man, a little right-leaning and a nice thing. Appreciate that, Bobby. I think it's me or you. I'm not sure. Thank you, Luis. Not you, Luis. I mean, thank you, Luis, but Luis Gomez here. Thank you. He said, great podcast. Last thing I'll ask you is, I started coming here 16 years ago as just a tourist, right? My wife's Dominican. I met her and I didn't know where this was until then. Like I'd heard of DR because of like Manny Ramirez, but that's about it. Didn't know where it was. And I remember a year or two in, it's like, why is no one talking about this place near shore, all the things that are happening now?
Yeah.
Has it always been like that for you being here 20 years? Did you feel like this whole, are you almost feeling like you're being validated in some way with all the attention that's happening now? Not validated, like I was telling people what the hell, not like that, but like, man, I felt when I got here, like this place has a ton of upside potential.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why this, that, and the other wouldn't be happening here. And now it is. Is that kind of the arc of where you are with this 20 years in?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, when you talk to people about Punta Cana, they think of the all-inclusive hotels.
Right.
That's really what started, the major movement of people to fly down here and have a vacation. And so that's what people knew it as. On our side in Grupo Punta Cana, we have no all-inclusive hotels. We have 3 hotel properties. We do a lot more real estate, golf, and then local residential communities. So whenever you would say to people, yeah, this is Punta Cana, they'd say, no, but Punta Cana is where all the hotels are. No, we have different kinds of hotels and different kind of style. So I think now the opportunities to move here, live here, be part of a community have grown a lot.
Yeah.
So we're starting to change what people perceive Punta Cana to be. It's no longer just going to an all-inclusive, locking yourself in there and getting hammered for a week.
That's so true, man. Like I'm a human being, so I see the haters maybe more than the people that are really positive. Everybody has been so great, positive. I appreciate everybody that watches, but you see these people who like correct me. First of all, they're not here. And they're like, you don't understand. Punta Cana is just a tourist destination. It's like, oh, Punta Cana is a tourist destination.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, just is a strong word.
Yeah.
Meaning like when we got here, we came here because it's close to Higüey, where Sylvia's family's from.
Right.
And it was, we thought Cap Cana was the safest place. It ended up being too boring for us. So we ended up moving into Punta Cana, the village resort area. But it was like, wait a minute, there's like 7 US accredited K through 12 schools, right? There's like 3 different shopping malls. There's 8, 9 full service large grocery stores. Now Bravo's coming, Nacional, right? Jumbo, all of them. Like there's 2 Serenas now, 2 La Serenas now. It's like, wait, this is, yes, of course it's a tourist destination, but it's like saying that's all Orlando is, or that's all Vegas is, right? And like nobody lives there truly. It's like, well, nobody lives there. It's all tourists. Right. Like, no, this has become its own city.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and it's growing into even more. It seems like, I think it's starting to change the perception of what Punta Cana is. You think of people, expats, like I moved to Costa Rica, I moved to wherever, Cabo, and they have like these certain, mindsets of where those places might be. And I think Punta Cana is starting to become that in addition to the hotels.
I think Punta Cana needs to be the more marketed name above Dominican Republic outwardly for everything. Because Dominican Republic sounds so like militarized. You know what I mean? They're like Republic of, kind of thing. Whereas Punta Cana has that Costa Rica, Bahama sound to it. So like
there's probably about 7 to 8 million Dominicans that disagree though. They're like, hey, what's wrong with Dominican?
I'm just talking about from a standpoint of marketing, marketing. Because like Dubai is what's marketed, not the UAE, right? UAE doesn't have the same ring as Dubai. I'm just saying like just the sounds of the words from an external marketing perspective, just putting a marketing hat on. Dominican Republic is hard to compete when you have Bahama and Costa Rica, Cancun, or
like why use oscillate if you can just use like swirl? Like so instead, like next time I won't be using big words. We'll just cut down Dominican Republic, Punta Cana.
All right, where are people following you, my friend?
So I'm at Instagram, Jay Keel, and I think I still survive on Facebook like some of us do, although I might not even have a password there.
You're going to see him a lot more. We're going to get you out there a lot more. We got to get his stuff out there. He's doing some amazing things. So I wanted to do this. I did the Grub with Gruber. You'll see him on the garbage thing that we did, the trash thing, talking trash, as we said on that video. But he's like, this guy, we just literally scratched the surface on all that he's involved in, all that he's doing. And honestly, from a standpoint of, the sustainability movement of sargassum, all of that, like volumes and volumes of information, so well connected and a lot coming from him and what he does for sure. And again, if you want to go deeper, Tuesday, he's going to be the guest on the Inner Circle. It's jamiegruber.com. Come check that out. You got another looking good. I won't put that in the same thing as like sexy, but Frank says Jake Keel looking good. Somebody else
I would
said,
come in with a boa around my arm
You
next
should.
time. A little more exotic.
you should. Like, what's his? It's like a Will Ferrell in what was it when he came down? Like, the meatloaf. What was that? That movie. What was that?
The Wedding
The
Crashers.
Wedding Crashers, right?
Yeah.
Where he's just this like alpha male getting all the chicks. Like he's got the robe open. That's what you need to do next time you come in.
Yeah.
Appreciate you doing this, man.
All right, man. Thanks so much.
Yeah, of course, guys. That's the live. I'll see you all soon. See you next week.